What's going on, beautiful people? It's currently day 4 or day 5 of the Bolivian ram fry. Now, we got off to a flying start. You know, there was a swarm of them around them for quite a while. It's not so many now. Okay, so here's the parents currently seeing off those ottos that are getting too close to the nest. Is it a nest? I mean, it looks like a nest, but back in there, look, you can see there's one, there's two. They're staying low at the moment, so I reckon there's about between 10 and 20 left, but there must have been a good 50 to start with. I mean, that's okay. It's still a number, isn't it? Maybe they'll still get picked off some more. I don't know. I hope not. But if they do, you know, such is life. I can always reevaluate and try something else if it continues to fail like this. And you know, it's like I said to you before, I don't want to interfere too much, just sort of let nature take its course, especially for this first time. Just like I did with my Crebensis, I let it do its thing, and eventually, you know, it all worked out once the parents became a bit better. And now I've got so many crib fry. So yeah, down here at the crib fry tank, look, really good. Everything's going great. They're growing nice and big now. I've also been leaving the algae growing at the side of the tank. There's some at the back as well, and there's some on the rocks. I've just been leaving it all, and if you look down at their bellies, they've got little green bellies, so they're sort of scavenging for food. I feed them every day, don't get me wrong, but like they just want to constantly graze, and I think it's working really well, so I'm just going to leave it. There was actually more than that, but they've sort of whittled it down now. But yeah, the tank's doing really good. So usually when I don't do full-on planted tanks, they require quite a bit of maintenance, but I don't really do anything to this tank at all. I just top up the water when it comes down. It's doing great. I don't want to disturb it too much, you see, but the sand, looking so crisp and clean. Really nice. Oh, there's the male. Did you just see the male there? I don't know if you could see him. He just went back in the cave, but I haven't seen the female for about 2 weeks, I'm not gonna lie. This happened last time and I feared she'd been killed, but that wasn't the case at all. She's just sort of hides out in there. They've made a whole cave system now all the way underneath. It comes all the way round as well. Don't know if you can see anything. I can just about see a fin flapping away in there, but you probably won't be able to make it out on camera. But yeah, the babies look everywhere. They're just dotted all around the tank. We must have a good 100 babies in here, I reckon. Just everywhere you look, there's just babies. But yeah, it's really good. I'm so happy I was able to do this. It did happen as a result of taking everything else out of the tank though, and just letting the babies grow up with just the parents. So if anything happens with the apistogramma, that might be what I need to do, set up a separate tank for them. But that's cool, I don't mind doing that. It's actually really enjoyable to do a single species tank as well. So I pour up inside my cup and I just sip till I can't feel it. So some of you may already have seen this weekend's build video with Timmy. The tank is doing great, absolutely loving it. Timmy is doing fantastic, as I think you could see in the video. Thoroughly enjoying the setup, all over the place exploring. A little bit more depth in this one so we can actually get, you know, a bit of swimming going on rather than just horizontally. You can go up a little bit and down. They don't like too much depth, to be honest. Like, they wouldn't utilize it. They just either sit at the bottom or sit at the top. But I can see that he's enjoying that sort of exploration aspect of the tank. And literally, just as I say that, look, he's going around and having a little look about. So we've still got all the fish as well. We've still got 6 fish in here, 5 of the adults and the 1 baby. Where is it? There it is. There you are. Looks like a neon from here, doesn't it? So it's got quite a lot of blue in that. But yeah, it'll just carry on. Once it grows, I suspect it'll look very similar. You want feeding, don't you, Timmy? You've actually been fed today already though, so you're not having any more, buddy. Oh, look there, look, you can see he's already pulled out some of the Anubias. I'll have to find a better spot for it. I think he likes going underneath this section right here, and that's where I think I had that, so he's just ripped that out, so I just won't put it there. We just put it in places where he doesn't mind going, so underneath there, he probably won't dig that out. Whatever, it's an evolving tank, and it's gonna evolve as we go along as to where he wants most of the decoration to go. Oh, you can see already, look, that's the amount of evaporation we've had in 2 days. So that gives you some sort of idea of how often I have to sort of top these things up. In terms of the immersed plants, everything looks to be doing really good actually. It had no drying out at all, so you'd see the end of the leaves sort of curling back on themselves if they weren't getting enough moisture, so they definitely are, which makes sense because the water level comes right up to near the top of the soil. Let me zoom in so you can potentially see that. There's the soil level just about there, and then the water level is almost with that, which means that the roots that are in there are going to be getting nice and moist, and that's what you need. If you find that your ferns are starting to brown, then there is a moisture issue. The immersed Monte Carlo, that is doing great. I didn't think it was going to do this well. I thought most of it was going to sort of wilt off, and then I'll have to wait for new growth to come from out of the water and then sort of grow, you know, across everything, but that's not happening. Look at that. That one there, that's new. That wasn't like that. So awesome. It's trying to find the light and it's all sort of creeping. That should just sort of cover everywhere. But yeah, day 3 now of this setup. Really pleased with it. It's going great. I set up my sparkling gourami tank behind me. Well, it's not just sparkling gouramis anymore, is it? There's ender guppies in there as well. But I set it up about a month ago now, and it is going so good. I'm really pleased with it. This is one of those ones that I've just dialed it in and nailed it pretty quickly. Sometimes it can take longer than others, but with this one, it was really quick. So after the first about 5 water changes I did initially, you know, the first week or so, just getting that sort of system going. After that, it's just been absolutely plain sailing. Now, I stuck in as well the Amano shrimp, about 6 Amano shrimp. Literally since then, I've done absolutely nothing. And to be honest, that for me is the best kind of setup. One that, like, it's difficult to get it like dialed in, but when you do, you can sit back, just enjoy it a lot more, and then start thinking about the next scape. But unlike other ones in the past that I've just let do their own thing after I got it sort of dialed in, I'm going to stay on top of this one. I'm going to keep up with the maintenance. I'm going to trim it right back in a minute. Let's just get it to continue to grow nice and compact and not lose the sort of tightness that we've currently got. Because as many of you will know, I do have a tendency to just let these things go, and it gets past the point of return, you know? Past the point of no return or past the point of return? I don't know. I just get it so thick that the water flow stops and eventually the tank sort of just goes too much to be even saved. But I'm not going to do that in this one. So I've added in some Rotala HR down there. Now HR is usually red, but because it's the tissue culture stuff, it has to grow up a little bit first and get closer to the light. So that's what I'm going to just leave that one there to do that. A little bit of a red pocket there I thought would be really nice. And behind, by the way, look, this pearlweed again growing up, that's getting chopped right back. Behind that, there's a little bit more of the HR down there. So that's going to grow in some nice little red pockets. Moss wise, look, the moss is growing lovely, look at that. But if I hack that back now, it'll grow back just completely compact. Like, it'll look a bit like a golf green once I get that cut back and grow in again. It looks so good. Hello little buddy, thank you for your work. We appreciate you massively. and you at the back there, let's not forget, whoa, she is gonna pop. Okay, hang on. Yeah, there we go. We're gonna have our first babies in here in no time at all now. Good work, Mel, there you are, Mel. So we're going to be getting some of these style ones. There might even be some other genes mixed in there with him, so hopefully we just get like a nice mix. Sparkling gourami, looking great. We've still got the 3. This tank is just, oh, it's so nice, isn't it? Remember, I just used the internal filter. I absolutely love these ones. Really cheap. I'll leave a link for them in the description because I prefer them, I'm not going to lie, to canister filters for this size tank. I mean, bigger tanks, this is 60 centimeters, so 2 foot by 1 foot by 1 foot, something like that. Bigger tanks, you will want a canister filter, but I think for this size, I just don't mind having them in there. Some people don't like equipment in their tanks, but look, you can barely see it. And the one good thing is as well is that, like with hang on the backs and things like that and canisters, I barely ever do any maintenance with them, and before you know it, the whole thing's clogged up. But with these, I don't know what it is about it or why it's different. When I drain the water out, I just pull the sponge out and just quickly give the sponge a rinse, put it back in again, and it works perfectly. They're safe as well, that's what I will say. Like if the power drops out and comes back on again, it just flows. Whereas sometimes hang on the back filters can drain out and it's just the motor going brrr, and then there's heat and no filtration whatsoever. So yeah, I really love the simplicity of them. But come on, let's look at that for a second. How good is that tank? So nice. But like I say, we got to get some maintenance done on it. It looks great now, but if you just leave it, it's going to get out of control. So hacking everything right back. So initially this can feel like torture, literally, because you spent like a whole month growing your tank out and then you're just cutting back the progress. That's what it feels like, but it's like sort of doubling your growth, especially with stem plants, obviously, because when you trim those, 2 shoots will come off the point that you trimmed. So you literally are doubling up. But with the mosses, that can definitely feel like a step back. But trust me, it will grow so much better. It will look so much better as well in no time at all. And for some reason with moss, when you trim it, it actually sort of speeds up the growth. I don't know, maybe it's like a defense mechanism or something like that, or, you know, maybe nature's way of surviving. Like, oh, we've been attacked, we must propagate faster. Either way, that works in our favor, and it will look so good in no time at all. Now, I've gone heavy. I've cut right back every single stem plant I've seen, and also I've cut back all of the pearlweed. I don't even know why there's pearlweed in this tank. I didn't deliberately plant it at all, but hey, it's here now. We might as well let it do its thing. Well, not completely let it do its thing. That's the point, isn't it? We're trying to control this. Again, pearlweed's one of those ones. If you just leave it to its own devices, it's invasive and just covers everything. But if you trim it back regularly, it sort of stays in its area, and actually, you know, it grows more compact rather than leggy and everywhere. And as always, looks far better than if you just let it go wild. No saying, actually, it depends on the type of tank. If you're going for a wild look tank, then pearlweed can be really good for that. And as you guys know, it's in pretty much every tank, regardless if I want it there or not. Right, really pleased with that. I think we've opened it right up. There's more light coming in. It looks a bit more tidy now. It'll grow back thicker in those areas. Like there, we'll sort of have double the amount of shoots, so it'll look more like a sort of, I don't know, moulded shape. Clear back all of the pearlweed as well, and we're going to have some really good red coming from this Rotala H-Ras soon. You are stunning. Look at you. Such beautiful fish. Sparkling gouramis, aren't they? Recently I found out though, they're not the same as croaking gouramis. I thought croaking gouramis, sparkling gouramis were the same. They're kind of like similar, but they actually aren't the same species. And from what I can tell, the croakings are way bigger. The ones I saw anyway were much bigger than these sparkling ones. And I'm pretty sure these are full grown now, because I've had them about 9 months myself, and they haven't changed in size at all. But yeah, in my opinion, the tank's looking fire. Proper little nature aquarium style, this one. We're getting some creeping as well. Look down here, see that? That's the hairgrass from there working its way out, which means it's all growing in nicely, and we've got it going on this side as well. So hopefully, I mean, there's enough sand there and there's nutrients underneath that sand. Hopefully we can get that grass sort of creeping everywhere. How good would that look? A full dwarf hairgrass carpet all in that foreground. Or would it take away? I don't know. I'll just let it do its thing. We can decide as it goes. So you might remember in the previous vlog, or one of the previous vlogs anyway, the neon tetra junglefish aquarium behind me, I had to take out a load of the plants. Now I took out the glossostigma because it was just melting right back. Now the reason it's melting right back is because it's known as an advanced category plant, meaning that it requires high lighting, high energy, CO2, that kind of thing. All your water has got CO2 in. There's a certain base level of CO2 that's already dissolved into it as it comes out the tap. Now, depending on where you are, depends on this amount, but mine isn't too bad. It's not the same as injected CO2, obviously. But overall, I'm pretty happy with how it is. So in my opinion, the water is not the problem with the glossostigma. It was the lighting levels. They're just not powerful enough. So what I've done is I took the glosso out and I put Monte Carlo in, and that's actually getting along really well, but it could be doing better. And for that reason, I'm going to swap out this light. I've ordered another one, a much more sort of powerful one, but still a budget light. It's actually one of the best lights I've ever found, other than, you know, the real high-end stuff. But then I don't like to buy that. I like the cheaper stuff. I just like the challenge of it all. So yeah, look, we can see here, this is what I'm talking about. The Monte Carlo is growing. It's growing slowly. Some parts are withering away though, and again, I think that's lighting. Over in this corner, I get more sort of shading, because look, that is where all of the floating plants sit. We need floating plants doing this setup at the moment. It's a jungle scape at the end of the day. You want to have floating plants, don't you? We are getting a little bit of die off and melt on some of the crypts and stuff. I'm just letting it do its thing. I'll go along in a minute and just pick out those odd ones. Nice and simple to do. Overall, the tank's doing well. It really does need a little bit more light though. So how you're seeing it now is how I'm seeing it now. There's no camera compensation for lighting, you know, like you can turn it right up like that or come right down. That there is spot on to how I'm seeing it. Now let's compare that with one of my other cheap lights. Well, to be fair, the discus tank, as many of you know, that's cheap lighting as well, but I just doubled up, which made it not too cheap. But so what, it works well. But anyway, the light I've ordered for this one to replace that one at the top is going to be the All Pond Solutions one. So I put one on this tank here. This, as many of you know, is the Platy Mountain, which last video we put in some snails, some cleanup crews, some shrimp, that kind of thing. Otto's been doing very well, but look, there's the Neorites now. Look at how clean that rock is. He's cleaned that whole rock this morning. Well, he or she cleaned that whole rock this morning. Look, in comparison with that one, these things are machines. Nice one. I mean, it's not the prettiest looking No right smell, is it? It's just plain black, but it's doing a good job, and so are you, my friend, so are you. So if you remember on this tank, I brought the lighting down because we weren't getting good growth with the Glosso. All the plants down the bottom here were starting to sort of die out. Since then, they're bouncing right back. They've got good colour on them. Diatoms are starting to clear up now, but the greenness is there, and that's what I was losing. They were becoming translucent, which is kind of like just, I don't know, they're just dying basically, but it's all coming back now. They look a bit funny. They've all been pulled out because when they were dying, all the platies were pecking at them trying to get some like food. These platies will eat anything. If you don't feed them, they'll just eat anything in the tank at all. But we are going to feed them, aren't we? Let's give them some food. Now we've got a flake. So what I like to do is grab a little pinch in between my fingers, place it into the tank and then just crumble it. There we go. Right, so look, everyone knows, they all know now, they all know me, they know when I break the surface of the water like that, it's food time. Who's going to get that big bit? Who's going to get that big bit? No one. It's way too big for you little guys. Yeah, so we've got a complete mix of sizes here. We've got about 3 generations of fish now, and at the back there, I didn't know, not that bit of food, at the back, no, they're not there now. Yesterday, I saw some itty bitty, oh, there's one. That's got to be a newborn. Actually a little bit older than a newborn, but it's so tiny. That's not at the back or anything, that's in with those lot. Just a random one tiny one. But yeah, I'm really liking this tank. Everything's growing in. Again, this is going to need a chop back soon as well. All the rotala, look, we're getting really good tips now. Everything's growing back nice and thick. I don't know why, but the tank I got it from, which has actually got a powerful light, I think it was being shaded, this plant was, so it grew like really small little stems on it, not looking too good, but all that new stuff looking great. This tank will now go from strength to strength as it gets better and better. You know, we lose some of that algae. Can't wait till it's all growing in really well. I'm going to give it a few more weeks and then I'm going to see if I want to add some more Glosso just to bulk it all up now that I've got the lighting levels correct. And that's the thing, guys, you can set up a brand new tank and be like, I know what I'm doing, this is going to be perfect, and then for some reason it just doesn't go how you was expecting at all. So you always have to be willing to adapt and change. I am still learning all the time. Like literally these last 2 tanks have taught me something I didn't know before. The Glosso Sigma, for instance, I didn't know I needed a more powerful light on that, and now I do. But then that leads into other plants. I can start seeing if they're like going downhill. I can tell what it is now, so we're always learning. And that is one of the reasons why I like setting up so many different tanks, because I'm hoping I can get to a point where I'm just like nailing it every time. I've got like 50 plus aquariums, all perfect, because at any given time I'd say I've got about 15 really good aquariums, and the rest are sort of suffering with different things. I'm trying to work it all out. But for me, that's all part of the fun, all part of the hobby as well. You know, I'm still relatively new to fish keeping in general compared to some of you pros out there. I mean, I've been keeping fish now for, let's say about 3 to 4 years, and I've been doing proper aquascapes for about 3 of those. But because I've done so many different scapes now and had so many different experiences, I reckon you could take that out like and make it double those many sort of years in terms of experience in that time. This is why I say to lots of people, if you're not happy with your scape, just change it, take it down, start again. There's nothing wrong with that, just learn. I mean, there's always a place for persevering with something, don't get me wrong, but if you're not enjoying it, change it, start again, and eventually you'll nail one and you'll be like, oh, that's perfect, okay, I'll buy a new tank and then I'll try again, and then that one won't go right, but you've got your one that you nailed to fall back on, to show that you can do something amazing, and you'll just keep going and you'll get better and better. It's so good.